Oh, morning. Holy shit. The lowest dose is so much better than the second lowest dose in terms of side effects. But I feel fucking tired. It's unbelievable how tired I feel. Uh, it's unbelievable. It's indescribable. It's after I woke up from like 14 to 8 hours of good sleep. Oh god, I was still so tired that I had trouble going to the store to buy my energy drink or coffee for the day. And they were even out of my preferred ones with sugar and only had either the expensive with sugar or the cheap or expensive without sugar. So I'm feeling a little. Oh, God. It definitely would work based on noticing how my thoughts change. Injection, I can say that it definitely would work for schizophrenia. It's there are two main neurotransmitters. Here will be a little bit of education. There are two main neurotransmitters that everybody uses. As far as I know, even plants use one or the other of the neurotransmitters, I think. And they're dopamine and serotonin. Dopamine is when you go back and forth, as in there's serotonin, which is when you consider others, other points of view, when you expand your point of view, that is serotonin. And too much of either causes psychosis. One causes a psychosis of high activity, where you are unable to distinguish reality from fiction, but at the same time, you are very high active. And one causes a psychosis, which is very low active. You are sedentary in your psychotic symptoms. And in the generator, it doesn't. It doesn't, in as much, completely block the ability to focus. If there's something that's causing you like your attention to be focused on it, you can push through the dulling effect. But if it isn't acutely interesting to you, like acutely interesting, it's at most a meh reaction. And it doesn't dull people from attacking me and seeking kills from it. But because I'm actually so mellow, they don't get the anger thrill that they're looking for. In other words, I can literally notice that when the injection is done, there's no influence on the spirits. They're the same as before. But over the course of the next day, I get into the normal trouble that I do with the occasional spirit, and they just seem bummed out that I'm unable to respond. They're most associatable with children instead of adults. They are pleasure driven. They are dopamine seekers, and they just fade away for the most part. Even though they're like neighbors here, people who are loud, people who annoy me, and know that my annoying will give them pleasure. It just dulls that desire to respond because it's like so irrelevant. It doesn't matter at all, and that's what I like about the meds. And I know based on what I'm sensing to be schizophrenia, which is kind of like being unable to cope with the human nature of seeking violence. Not being peaceful, but being unable to cope, in that you try to be one thing and you respond in a way that encourages the other thing. Therefore, you try to be something, but you fail. And that is what it seems to be to me. The inability of humans to cope with the violent nature of reality, either by resisting it successfully or adopting it successfully, getting stuck in between. And that causes the fuzz when your interior morale start to readjust, and it tries to maintain control in some form of personality. So I'm thinking, now that I'm on the lowest dose, when I was on the second lowest dose and moved to the lowest dose, I had about 2 weeks, maybe even 3 weeks, of what I'd call pretty severe withdrawals. So it points to me not wanting to be on this medicine forever. The withdrawals are pretty severe, but you have to now use the time that this medicine gives you in terms of stability to rapidly and accurately build a internal stability network. I've been focusing on building the Malkavian network, as everybody knows, so there's a difference there. It is not the same building. And I believe I have accomplished what I set out to accomplish here in terms of spiritual ability, studying the cross mind phenomena, etc., etc. And I'm noticing that I'm building a new desire. I can't put a word on what it is, but it seems to have to do with healthy adults. There is like something in that relation that is being built up. I now have a outline, is perhaps a word, on how the adult is supposed to work. I do not believe that anybody can learn to be a healthy adult from their parents, due to the fact that all parents love their children and therefore act in an unhealthy way around them. Either overtly strong and correcting, or overtly friendly and positive. Either the very hard, you must be instructed to survive life because life is hard, or the life may be hard, but it is more important to keep your core aspect. Either one or the both will be what the parents prefer. And if one prefers one and one the other, then you certainly don't have a healthy relation with adults. If you're at school and work and you're in your 35s and your experience of your coworkers is that they're annoying, chatty people, then perhaps looking at your interiors might be suitable. My female faction strongly encouraged me to find pleasant forms of songs from many authors that can be played by hand. They are looking at other models to see where to improve and where not to improve. Also, immediately after I got the injection and I was walking around town, I had a very clear, not visibly clear, but as close as you can get to visibly clear without being visibly clear. The same kind of clarity when you have those people that have been deaf for their entire life and get a cochlear implant and they blinking and going like, that's so weird, what am I doing? And then after a while they start to realize what they're hearing. I have the same type of clarity. I had a pop-up near every woman that I saw that read inheritable traits and good traits and negative traits, like straight from Crusader Kings. And general mood of if you wish to improve the human race, here is your data, please do your thing. And it was very stark. It was like waking up from a dream of perhaps people will help me to reality of people are now helping me very strongly, from the dream of they may one day help me to waking up to like, oh, there it is. Like somebody going to you when you're walking in a fuzz and grabbing you by shoulders and going like, ah, ooh. It's turning more and more real. It is very pleasant. I do not believe I could have done this living with anybody. This is truly the fool's quest in that it has to be done alone. One day I will have a healthy picture of how people are supposed to interact with one another. Until then, I must use my mask of sanity and therefore be a psychopath. I believe psychopathy is a little bit misunderstood. If you live in any society where your internal laws do not completely match your public laws or the laws of the society, then you are, by very definition, a psychopath, acting through a mask of sanity. Every Jew who wanted to run away from Germany during the race laws, for example, was a psychopath. That's why I think the term is being misunderstood. You're pretty close to what it actually means in your autistic research, but it is still a little way off. They are unable to take laws and push them out of their mind and think of them as, if I get caught, then I broke the law. They start to think internally consistently that I cannot do this because law that, and so on and so forth. So eventually they separate from themselves into who they can be in society and who they want to be, and both become their own independent personalities with driving forces and life forces. And then one has to manage between the two. One usually takes a dream-like ethereal quality, and one takes a very solid reality. It is not one-to-one in any case, in that it is predictable and 50-50 balance. There are some trends, some prediction is always possible to do, but true accuracy. Science. Very valuable and at the same time the stupidest idea mankind has ever had. Science can be compressed into the following sentence. If you can demonstrate for another how your experience can also be replicated by them, then it is science. That is roughly science. But the spirit can never be replicated for another, so it is both very useful and true and very false and untrue, as it is most ideas. It downplays the spirit and must be tempered by it, but its application of turning your soul into transferable bits that others can replicate is quite valuable. But despite encroaching ever closer, it can never actually touch the soul because it is not a voluntary process. You can never touch somebody if they are not voluntary to it. It can only be done in a voluntary way. And I speak as somebody who survived a lot of domestic abuse, so I know how it is to be voluntary. The first step in the voluntary process is to admit that you would rather be alive than dead. Not because you feel bad and you feel better than bad, but rather that if you truly wished to be dead, you would be dead. There is no alternative. There would be no death process in between that you would be required to cross. You would still simply be there. And the only realization that can come from that is that some part of you knows what it is like to be dead, in other words, has been dead before and knows that the suffering you are going through while being serious is not the same suffering as being dead. And that is where you either find your will to live or you don't. Once you find your will to live, there are many paths you can take. There is no therapy outline that actually works. You have to take a path and then you have to rely on the corrections from others, no matter how much they hurt. Then when you come to a conclusion that the path is not for you, you switch your path and jump into it with the same thing. Eventually, through your process of reasoning, you will find something that resembles logic in all the fuzz. You will start to see why what happened, what was the true reason. And then you can start to make slow adjustments that you get out of the situation, which isn't happening there, it's happening now because your mind cannot tell the difference. You are in this state called trauma. It is a slow, steady process, but once you get through it, you will be much better off. Much better off. See, most people, not a large majority, but a majority of people live happy, content lives throughout their entire thing. They may occasionally bump into something darker, but for the most of it, they are what people deem happy. And you have been in a state that people would deem traumatic or dark or painful. So when you reach from that state to their baseline, you will feel nauseatingly good. And it will take a long time to adjust to the level of their baseline. Their basic logic is so alien to you because they do not protect themselves that it will be literally being born as a wolf among sheep and being forced to adopt sheep practices. You are not the best fighter there is, but having gone through trauma and reliving it in your mind consistently, which is what trauma does, that's its defining characteristic, you have prepared for a great deal of pain. And your ability to tolerate pain is usually greater than those who start from a position of happiness. But do not underestimate them, or you will be like akin to the Nazis attacking the US. They may not be experts in physically coordinating pain towards you, but in terms of allies, the guys who believe that the world is generally good and evil deserves to be punished, etc., is likelier to find the world pleasing in that they will find a larger and larger network of allies. And due to the fact that they've lived their life content and peaceful, their ability to give others contentment in exchange for them directing their military towards you is rather large. Which is why these types of conflicts must be fought in the diplomatic arena, primarily. War has, and I have said this 20 years ago and will say it for the next 20 years, war has its uses. If you believe that war will end if humanity evolves to a certain point, you are missing the point of war. War's primary objective is usually to enforce a temporary solution on a permanent problem. What can be described as a breathing space. So war can be described in terms of somebody strangling you and you kicking them in the nuts, and the next 5 seconds afterwards. That can be described as a good war. If they snap out of their fighting mood and get back to reality after the kick in the nuts, you'll be very, very lucky. Usually an assailant does not do that, and if you are not in a place where the 5 seconds where they're holding onto the groin gets you into the public sphere and screaming like a madman, then you are in trouble. Best you can do is shine light on the situation in a harsh manner and then find something resembling a security situation around you as quickly as possible, while as soon as the initial part of the conflict is over, resigning from anything resembling security duties because you have clearly failed in them, otherwise you will not be stranded. Which is why it has to be fought with professionals once it is unleashed. And no nation's leader is ever the professional, no matter how hard they try. And keep in mind that weapons given to you by factions that oppose war in general will have unintended consequences, ergo nuclear bomb. If somebody fundamentally opposes war and starts giving you weapons, then you ought to be aware. There might be some unintended consequences in said weapons. One unintended consequence, which I have demonstrated many times. I have made a video about it. There's a few of these short bits of video that I find just the right kind of amusing. The kind of perfect middle finger. Because being hit by nuclear weapons increases your life expectancy as a nation. Using nuclear weapons reduces your life expectancy as a nation. I would be laughing were I not so horrified. As weapons go, it's a pretty smart one. It allows you to remove your opponent's government essentially as many times as you want, with the knowledge that every time you hit them, they become all around better, healthier, smarter, etc. That's roughly their lesson. While every time you hit, your population becomes shorter lived, your life standard decreases. So it is a priestly weapon. It will exchange your life force for the life force of another. You can use it, but you at that point should love your enemy. You use it without love, you're prone to use it on your own land more, and once that occurs, all you're doing is gathering resources and throwing them down the giant well. Oh, the mystery of nucleus. Holy shit, boys. US is trying to do Crusader Kings 3 Reform of Faith. They're trying to go for a new type of faith just for like gameplay reasons. They aren't thinking like long term, they're just doing it for funsies. But the thing is, very forest, very green, but with a golden helmet or like crown when push is required, but very forest. Very forest. They were doing some things differently than me, I would say. About as much difference from my Crusader Kings 3 gameplay as there is from that gameplay to the traditional Finland, about that much difference. But still roughly in the same ballpark. A lot of ideas about maintaining a healthy ecosphere. A lot of ideas about that. There's also a very strong Reformed Christian ideology of wealth shares your blessings. That is very, very strong in their ideology. It's like wealth shows your blessings, but if you make wealth short term by destroying the long term, aka the environment, then you are actually making yourself poor, in which case we have to understand what you're investing into, which you're predicting will make you richer, and that purification will make you poor. That is as far as we're willing to go in terms of that discussion. But if you cut down an old forest and don't plant new trees, but let it lie fallow, for example, then we will be thinking in terms of losing money. I still think that the most interesting, though most likely not in our world workable forestry method is the Hutterbaloo method, or blimp method, where you fly over a forest and pick from the top down the trees that seem to look like they are primed for harvesting and are not in a nature damaging way if harvested. So you don't need to make roads and you don't cut from the edge inward. You just make longer and longer range blimps as you drive over the forest and pick trees up. That is the most interesting method I've seen. Because cities using the blimp technology to harvest those trees would be reluctant to increase the range from their industrial facility to the trees, which would make it more likely to work well. So, street bought seeds, as in the ones you get from the cannabis pouches, work by seeing how much root capacity there currently is in relation to how many nutrients there are in the soil. So once it grows its pot full of roots, it will start to blossom and start to make the flower. Now, these store-bought seeds take no consideration of root or plant mass into effect, other than it will retain a very small amount of leaves that are not turning into cannabis when it does turn into cannabis, the plant itself. So if you have store-bought seeds, do not trim them in any fashion. It will not work. And if you have from the pouches, I believe the word is hybrid seeds, which is, I believe, the word you're looking for. If you have those, uh, trim them so that the root material is full while the plant's topside is not full, to provoke it to grow more leaves. And if it grows fully in a pot without being disturbed in any way, it will blossom once the pot is full of roots, and the large area on top of it, the green part, is about the same size as the root mass. But if you trim from a hybrid plant all the pollen parts and leave the leaf parts, it will take some time before it starts to grow pollen parts or flower parts again. And those like repeat times allow you to make a long-term plant. But if you have store-bought seeds, they produce a plant and near certainly die in 3 months. They are, as those guys have said, but the hybrids are a different manner, which I kind of specialize in. And keep in mind that growing something you're addicted to when you do not have enough supply of your addiction is prohibitively difficult. It's not the easiest task on the planet. So for many who are addicted to cannabis, which is a large group, I assure you, one of the best ways to get rid of that addiction is to farm your own plant, because while you are farming, you are unlikely to be able to smoke much at the same time, due to the fact that you might end up smoking your plant if you have an actual addiction. So that encouragement to be sober while the plant grows is perhaps what some people just need. Might have an effect on people. I have still seen as the best effect on the drug usage rates their legalization, treatment plans, and high taxation. Even with a taxation on narcotics, which makes sure that their usage does not much increase, if at all, after their legalization, the high taxes with a steady supply will be much better than low taxes and unsteady supply. The fact that you know that the store will always have your thing day or night is better than knowing that it might be available for really cheap today, but then in like 3 days it's not, because that is splurging and splurge and vomit, or whatever it's called. Purge, there you go. Splurge and purge. Oof. I'm gonna be back in like 3 minutes. I'm gonna get this video blocked again. YouTube also now has 35-second unskippable ads. So yeah. Just making a video platform that allows podcasts and file uploads to say 1 hour total a week or even a day for free would be huge. All of these have one or the other. And a lot of them cost money to join. Mä edelleenkin niin vitu ihme keksintö. Se jengi ei niin hiffannut, että miten toi toimii toi formaatti. Teillä on sellaisia pömpeleitä, jotka tuottaa tasasta haittalämpöä.
Soap opera. What? Well, if I didn't have... And I wasn't married and I had plenty of money. Would you want to run away with me?
Money? Do you think I really care about money? Nicole, I care that you're healthy.
I'm no quitter, Eric.
Don't like this universe, Sammy. We need to get out of this universe. Yeah, no argument here.
And at an average of 2.25% interest over a period of 1,000 years, that comes to...
Right now 16 million. See, I'm improving. I'm improving. Good.
Get the hell off my property! property. You can't own property, man. I can, but that's because I'm not a penniless hippie. What do people want?
You're like a smart. Mä riittävästi duun eteen, niin pääsen sinne Joosan tai hitaan, mikä vittu se nyt oli. Early grave.
Evacuate everyone south of that line. I'm afraid it's too late for them.
Yeah, I'd say most countries 5-10 years away. Hammer industry is 20.
I'd like to point out that test pilot survived.
I think we're done at the point that he's making. I don't think there's anything. Point is, you're welcome, I guess, because I'm your nuclear deterrent. It's working. We're safe.
Because everything points to the direction that we're gonna continue fucking up the planet.
I'm prepared to put together a
And Greenland ice sheet sounds just right to be the next
Usually
fucker.
that doesn't happen until I start into the
When
nanotechnology.
that
No, I'm
happens,
sorry. I just.
Washington and everybody north of it on the Atlantic coast
What does the package look like?
is gonna get winters of
Prepared to dramatically
Alaska.
change my standard of
Minimum.
living. I'm prepared to sit on your board and spend an hour a month advising
We
you
could
on
talk
your
about
strategic relationship with the FCC.
minus 60 degrees Celsius winters in
That's
Moscow,
not the package.
3 to 5 years out of
Starting
the
foundation.
decade.
Because if I hold on to all this money, I start to look impolite. I want to find a single problem I can attack, something which might actually have some kind of substantive effect. Maybe I should be fighting AIDS in Africa, or maybe it's malaria. It could be clean air, or election reform, I don't know. But my sense is that you would have a unique perspective on what that could be and how to make it happen.
A single problem.
It's a complicated question.
Highways is what you're looking for.
Really?
It's not sexy. No one will ever raise money for it. But 9 out of 10 African aid projects fail because the medicine or the personnel can't get to the people in need.
Infrastructure's a problem.
Blanket the continent with highways and then maybe get started on plumbing.
Also not sexy.
Thanks for a lousy telephone.
It does. Well, if you think that's what needs fixing, I'll give you $10 billion to fix it.
I wonder how many miles 8 million gets of highways. Just wonder. 100 would be good, 1,000 would be unheard of. 100 is still a little low. Might be 100 kilometers if you take like a really low purchasing power in parity country. 1,000 could be doable. It's not impossible. Especially since you're not building like 6 lane, you're building maybe 2 lane, very even surface.
Yeah, let's do it! Together, you old son of a bitch! On 3! 1, 2...
You guys doing Morty's Mind Blowers?
Morty's mind blowers?
Grandpa, is this a scenario 3?
What's that? And who are you?
Oh man, this
Snare 4. Religious hoopla. Go up. Memory stick.
Ugh. God damn it! I got paid enough for this shit.
There's a crowd nearby. I can smell it. What? Help you? How did we fall asleep during interdimensional cable?
Yeah, what the hell, Summer?
Summer, you dumb
How
bitch.
long were we out?
How much of interdimensional cable did you discover, you
TV
stupid
shows and
bitch?
commercials didn't
Why did you let us fall asleep?
Stupid
Dumb
bitch.
bitch.
You're gonna set on fire.
Most elementary, valuable statement in science. The beginning of wisdom is, I do not know. I do not know what that is.
I do not know where they got the 8 million from. But I believe they had good reasons. Can I have like 10% of that in my bank account? Oh, okay. Work for
By 2065, I deemed it a mathematical certainty
that
that
I
I'd have
have
to
to pay.
taxes. Every projection I ran confirmed it. I knew I couldn't pay taxes, nor did I care to, but I could commit to tax fraud, and in the process, perhaps save money.
I could get some really expensive makeup and gloves.
Oh, John, I can't believe it. You've come so far.
Just look at you.
Proud. I'm proud to be part of the cycle.
I'm proud to be one of these guys.
If you know someone who might be a telepath, or think you might be one yourself, help them get the help they need. Call the Corps. Call government information for more on a Sonic Corps center near you. This message has been brought to you by the Ministry for Public Information.
Well, the scepter. You see, we were wondering how Strucker got so inventive. So I've been analyzing the gem inside. You may recognize Jarvis, Doctor.
Doctor.
Started out, Jarvis was just a natural language UI. Now he runs an Iron Legion. He runs more of the business than anyone besides President. Something like that. Yes, I suspect not for long. Keep the competition. It's beautiful. You have to guess what's it look like. Like it's thinking. I mean, this could be. It's not a human mind. I mean, look at this. Like neurons, right? Downstruck was around. I saw some fairly advanced recordings. It deep six the data, but I gotta guess it was not on a very particular order.
Artificial intelligence.
Artificial intelligence. This could be it, Chris. This could be the key to creating Ultron. I thought Ultron was a fantasy. Yesterday was. If we can harness this power and apply it to my Iron Legion protocol, it's a man-sized if. Our job is if. What if you were sipping margaritas on a sun-drenched beach, turning brown instead of green? Not looking over your shoulder for Veronica. Don't hate, I helped design Veronica.
Although evidence of such an outcome is not conclusive.
Ugh. Youth mess, I'm not feeling much desire to do anything at the moment. Even watching my own art feels like a drag. I watched the first 4 minutes, 50 seconds of Picard season 2 before I get to that. Oh. So yeah, morning, AI. Yeah, I think I'm gonna play something and maybe record, but I'll be back in a while. Bye. Thanks for watching.